stand for the pledge. Thank you. Flag's over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. What do I do with my pen? This is the Woodbury Zoning Board of Appeals. If you're not here for that, you're in the wrong place. I'd first like to introduce the board. We do not have a full board tonight. We have a quorum. I'll explain to each applicant how that will work. To your far right is Mr. Joseph DiBenuto, Mr. Kevin Abrams. I'm Karen Unger. This is our attorney, Mr. Michael Donnelly, and our recording secretary, Ms. Jessica McLennan. We meet the second Wednesday of every month. Our next meeting will be August 8th. We have no executive session. Has everyone read the previous minutes from last month?
I'll make a motion, we accept them.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes have been accepted. No new business. We have a decision to action on a decision. This is the Woodview Heights. We'll vote on the decision for area variances of a proposed 13-lot subdivision from the definition of lot area in Section 310-2, 1C, that requires certain steep slopes and wetland deductions in computing lot area, and that 80% of the slopes on each lot must have slopes of 15% or less. Said property is located in the R1A zoning district at the corner of Hill Avenue and Van Buren Court in Highland Mills, and is known on the Village of Woodbury tax maps as Section 204, Block 1, Lot 34. After several pages of facts and findings, our decision is as follows. In employing the balancing tests set forth in Village Law Section 7-712-B, letter C, the board hereby denies the variances requested. We're going to vote.
I'll
Joe?
make a motion, we accept this.
Well, we're going to
No,
take
we
up.
just have to vote.
Oh, we just
We
have
have
to
to
vote?
vote, yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are the findings that you
Aye.
deliberated upon at your last.
Joe, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Okay. How do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the decision, the variances have been denied. This is the clean copy here? Okay. I'll sign this at the end. We have public hearings, Bakertown Road condominium, continuation of a public hearing for an interpretation pursuant to Section 310-44, letter C, 3 and 4. Applicant proposes to construct an emergency access road on vacant land, whereas pursuant to Section 310-7 of the bulk regulations, an emergency access road is not listed as a permitted use. Said property is located in the R2A zoning district at the corner of County Route 105 and Acres Road in Highland Mills, and known on the Village of Woodbury tax maps as Section 225, Block 1, Lot 1. Is the applicant here? No.
Well, I'll make a motion, we carry it over to the August meeting.
Yes, all right, so.
I second.
Aye, we're all in favor of that?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, we'll take that. Aye. So this will be carried over until August.
Moving right along.
Next on the agenda is a public hearing for Torres, an area variance to permit a 6-foot-high solid stockade fence existing in a front and side yard, whereas pursuant to Section 146-5A, B, and 146-7A, the maximum height permitted in a front and side yard is 4 feet and 50% solid. Said property is located in the R1A zoning district at 73 Dunderberg Road in Central Valley, and is known on the Village of Woodbury tax maps as Section 228, Block 10, Lot 16. Is the applicant present? We do not have a full board this evening. We have 3 out of 5 members. It's your option, your choice, your prerogative to wait until there's a full board, or you can continue. If it's voted, if we don't all vote the same way, in other words, if 2 out of 3 vote no, it will be a negative decision for you. If it's 2 out of 3 the other way, it would be a positive, yes?
Yeah, the failure to garner 3 affirmative votes would constitute a denial. So
So
you'd
unless
need a
all 3 of
unanimous
us vote yes to permit this, it would be a denial. So it's your prerogative to wait for a full board in August, or you could proceed tonight.
I'll proceed. I can't do any more adjournments, based on my schedule. I don't want to tap any more time.
Can't hear him. Can we use the microphone?
Right, would you go to the microphone, please? Just say that so that everybody, we can have it on record then. Thank you. Right over there.
All right, can you hear me now? Test, 1, 2, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to continue with tonight because I don't want to take up any more time with the board. I know you guys have a lot of sensitive topics that you have to deal with, and my schedule's kind of tough as it is, so I'd like to proceed if it's possible.
All right, all right. Hold on just a moment.
You can hear from the public, hear his presentation, and put up deliberations for later. Whatever, either one is permitted.
Okay, we can hear your testimony and anyone from the audience, and then we could deliberate at next month, when there's 5 members. That's
Okay.
up to you.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. All right, so you have a pool, which you got a permit for, a fence, which you applied for a permit for and received permission for a 48-inch semi-solid fence, yet what's there is a 6-foot solid fence. Could you explain?
Correct. So originally, when we purchased the pool installer was handling the application for the permit, for the pool and the permit to go hand in hand. Eventually, what happened, when he came up with the final plan, we didn't like it. It was just wasn't going to sit correctly in the back. The original plan was the pool was supposed to go from north to south, which is left to right if you look at the house. So we opted to go with another design where we were going to go from the rear of the house to the rear of the property line, front to back, and that kind of altered everything at that point in terms of how the fence was going to lay. I didn't have a chance to see the final plan. As I understand it, the pool installer did go to the inspector and told him that there was going to be a change, and that was he gave him a verbal. And I think his instructions, I believe, in speaking to him last week from Sensational Pools, that's Glenn, he said that Gary had told him as long as the pool is 40 feet from Morgan Court, which is the northern side of the house, that he was okay with it at that point. As far as the fence goes, I didn't see the layout at that point because it had changed, and I didn't see the permit, but the permit was still in place. The problem with the fence as it is and the way our house is, the grade of our house is below the road level. So we're about 2 feet below grade level of the road and the sidewalk. So when you're looking down into at my home, you could actually see way beyond a 4-foot fence, which is a problem for us in the sense that we won't have the protection that the 6-foot fence would have, along with the fact that we do have a active bus stop that stops directly in front of our, right in front of our driveway. When they enter the bus, they get off the bus, that's where they let the children off. So we had a concern with that. We wanted to get the fence up right away. Prior to the fence being up, we had a temporary plastic fence, which wasn't going to work. So we did tell them to hurry up and get that, get the fence up, because we're concerned, as far as the kids go. There's a lot of children that live on Morgan Court. One of my neighbors is present here today. He can attest to the fact that there are plenty of children that are down that block. So we were concerned with that. And we also wanted to make sure that the appearance of the fence looked well. You know, we didn't want it to be an eyesore as you walked or you turned around that corner. In fairness to the tenants that, you know, the residents that live on Morgan Court, kind of wanted something that was consistent with the house in terms of color and style, and gave us the protection that we needed. So if you look at the pictures that we submitted, again, you know, 4 feet definitely wouldn't be sufficient. You'd be able to see over, and we just didn't want any children negotiating those fences and jumping in the pool while we weren't home, or, you know, loss of any property at that point. And then to the south side of the home, which is the right side, we pushed out a little bit on the fence due to the pool equipment being on that side as well. So the reasoning behind that was basically to contain the noise. And again, we didn't want it to be an eyesore where you have, right now, at this time of the year, you have a central AC system operating, you have a pool pump operating, and the heating pump for the pool operating all at the same time. So when you have them all three operating simultaneously, you're gonna have a lot of noise. We didn't want to disturb our neighbors to the south side of the house. So we tried to contain that as much as we can and keep up the appearance as well.
I have two questions for you. One
Sure.
is, you moved, from the original plan, you moved your pool equipment. And the other question is, your permit in red lettering says maximum fence height, 48 inches.
Correct.
And yet, I know you say you didn't see the plans, but
Correct. Yeah, I didn't see it till after, the plans were changed, and obviously the fence had been up at that point.
But your contractor should have seen all this.
Well, that was the thing. I didn't, when I spoke to, because Sensational Pools was actually the ones that actually applied for the pool and the fence permit together. Lowe's was actually the installer of the fence, so we had two separate contractors installing the fence at that point. And again, this is my first run at this, so I kind of, you know, I wasn't as polished as I needed to be in the sense of having the knowledge that I needed to get this stuff out to them.
so what you're telling me is that you own the property, you contracted out, but you didn't know what they were putting up till it was up?
We knew what they were putting up, we just didn't realize it was gonna be, that 48 inch requirement was in place. And we obviously said that we were gonna need a 6-foot fence, but at that point, I didn't know it until I saw the plans after the fact.
Isn't 6 foot okay in the back?
But he's
Behind
on a
the property?
corner. He's on a
It's a
corner.
corner lot.
Yeah, I'm on a corner lot.
You have 2 front
That's-
yards.
Eh,
Well, it doesn't matter, that's the law.
Yeah, but that doesn't do the homeowner any justice, not having no rear yard. Somewhere there's gotta be a rear yard. I live on a corner too, and I've had the same problem, and somewheres along the line, my problem is that, I don't have no problem with your house being on Dunderberg, which to me is gonna make your house, the back, is the rear yard to me.
Correct,
It's unfortunate that Morgan Court is there.
correct.
Why is the pool so close to the Morgan Court? Why wasn't it further?
Because the way it was gonna lay, it wasn't gonna be really, in other words, it was just, we were gonna get a little more room in the sense of walking around it versus it being parallel to the house in the home.
And
Real tight there too, Ken. Real tight.
No, you can't, you're going to have to wait to speak.
now, are we still dealing with the 40 feet too, or was that?
Well, let's work on the fence first before we worry about the 40 feet.
Well, my only problem with the fence is that on the side of the house, it should be 4 feet, 50%.
Correct. So, and then, like I said, like I mentioned before, you know, and I understand that the 4 feet portion of it. And again, I submitted a picture of what it looks like. Basically, when you're on Morgan Court, you're looking downward. So it's kind of inverted in the sense that it really doesn't appear to be a 6-foot fence, but, you know, because you're elevated. And
But you
that's-
could have brought 6 foot across the back, at the back of the house, which would have.
Well, it is, it's 6 foot all the way around.
Right, 6 feet all the way around.
No, but it goes to the front of the house.
Oh,
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah, correct.
yeah.
If you brought the 6 foot across the back end, it would have been,
Right.
No, it still doesn't work when you have the corner lot. It has to
There-
be 4 feet. It's got the red arrow right there. 4 feet to that spot.
Yeah, but
Right.
honestly, I think that's an injustice to the homeowner. First of all, I don't know how many years he's been there, but, you know, that house was there long before Morgan Court was.
Yes, it was. The Morgan Court was added on, as I understand. I don't know the exact year. I got there in '05, but Morgan Court was, the road itself was built afterwards, so was the subdivision back there.
And I think we had the same issue, Karen, down on, behind Jay's, down
However,
at the
that's,
corner. Because it
that-
was a corner lot.
right, but that's a commercial area, really didn't even need a variance. There's no,
That house all the
Fencing.
way in the back?
are you talking about the Realty?
No, no.
What house
The
is
last
it?
house on, behind Jay's. Well, I forget what that street is.
Rutledge?
Tracy,
Yeah, she technically has no rear yard either.
Oh, I wasn't
we
on-
kinda
I wasn't on
determined
the
that-
board for that.
Somewheres along the line, there's gotta be a rear yard to satisfy some of the needs of the property owners.
Yeah. I mean, and in fairness to the owners that live on Morgan Court, like I said, if it was 4 feet and you're making that
It's their
turn,
fault.
when you make that turn around the corner, it's, you know, I'm sure, I know I wouldn't want to see a bunch of towels and pool equipment laying out there, just looking into that. I think at this point, with what we have, we kind of, you know, we kind of satisfied that sense of
I know, but you know what, though,
visibility.
it's, the thing that sticks with me is that it's after the fact.
No, and I apologize for that. I mean, again, that's, you know,
The plans call for 4.
no, I do apologize for that because I didn't get to see that till
And-
afterwards.
I'm sure somebody looked at those plans when they were going to install the fence. And they must have seen Gary's notes.
Right, but what
They're
happened?
in red.
What happened after Gary's notes was that plan was pretty much put to the side because the position of the pool was changed from front to back, which is what I submitted in the packet there,
but
without
if
the fence, though.
Yeah, but if it was 48 inches on the original plans, that
Yeah, no, I
didn't
mean,
change because you moved it.
I totally understand that. I mean,
My only problem I have with the fence is that one side by the pool, maintenance agreement, pump house.
the one on, you're talking about Morgan Court, on Morgan
No,
Court?
the other side.
Where it comes up to the front of the house on the right
That's-
side.
Oh, the
facing.
right side, okay, covering the pool equipment, okay, covering the pool equipment, okay.
That's my only.
Right, yeah, and then again, that was, the whole mindset behind that was to kind of, so it doesn't look like, you know, you don't have that eyesore of seeing all that equipment out there.
Yeah, I
and-
know, but, you know, we still have rules, you know?
Right, right, and that was the mindset behind it, just to kind of contain that noise so you don't see it when you're walking down. I mean, Dunderberg as it is so active right now, from the pedestrian perspective and vehicles. I mean, we're loaded up with cars and a lot of people are walking back and forth now, especially
And I,
with the
and I
pool.
do see the kids out there in the morning, so, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very
I
active
know
bus
there is
stop.
a bunch of kids out there.
Yeah, very much so.
Right,
And
but
I
there-
submitted,
there are
when
a
I
lot of
submitted the
pools.
pictures, I actually put the pictures in there with the kids coming off the bus stop, so,
So-
you know, the board.
Well, the
could see
bus
it.
only comes during the school year,
Correct,
and the pool's used in the summer.
correct.
They're two different
But
times.
there's an overlap because.
There is,
yeah,
but
there's
you
an
know,
overlap.
there are pools in town with 4-foot semi-solid, and kids aren't jumping over, and
Well,
you know.
I don't want to be the first, let's put it that way.
Yeah, but any kid that can get over a 4-foot fence can get over a 6-foot fence. It's really meant for
Yeah.
the smaller kids that can't get over a 4-foot
Right.
fence.
And like I said, I think I'm
Gary
at a
knows that,
disadvantage.
and he,
Right.
you know, the
Yeah,
4-foot
I mean, I'm at a
fence is there.
disadvantage again, because like I said, the grade of my home is at least 2 feet below road level and the sidewalk level. And
did you
that-
consider any plantings? You know, put the fence, put a 4-foot semi-solid, and put bushes in front of it?
You know,
Or behind it.
I did consider that, and the issue with that is the soil around it's actually pretty bad because of the fact that the road is there. That road was put there. We tried to put some planters in there, and those plants, I just put 4 of them up, and they're dead already. And these are brand-new planters that I paid a lot of money for. So I did look at that option as well to try and make sure that, again, I wanted to keep consistent with the community. I wanted it to look well. I want to keep the neighbors happy. But again, I also want to contain the pool equipment and keep the safety of, you know, unauthorized people out of there.
Honestly, I got a problem with it being after the fact, to be
Yeah, I
honest
have
with
a-
you,
I have a
Mr.
major-
Torres.
yeah.
There's a quantum difference between what you were given permission to build and what was built there.
Right.
I can't say that, you know, what you said isn't true but it's after the fact, you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
So-
everything changed, the location of the pool, the orientation of the pool, the height of the fence, the location of the fence, the
Yes.
location of the pool equipment. There isn't anything that's the same, other than there is a pool and a fence.
Correct. And again, at that point, I felt that the onus was on the pool installer because he was communicating that
You're
with
the owner
Gary.
of the property, the onus is on
Correct.
you.
No, it is. Ultimately, at the end, it is, and that's why I'm here, to try and make it right and correct it. I mean, I can't undo it at this point. I wish I could, but I can't.
What would the board's position be if this is fiction, but if he took the fence down and then submitted an application? Would your perspective on the merits of the application be any different?
I don't know.
I don't know that you want to
Yeah,
put him through
it's-
that.
it's hard to- yeah, no,
Realistically,
yeah.
though the error is clearly the applicant's, and clearly is an unauthorized fence, is it, if you would feel differently if you took it down first, you may want to think twice about whether you want to deny it just because it was unauthorized. You have other reasons why you might want to, given particularly, as Kevin has pointed out, the one side next to the neighbor there, but
I know Mr. Abrams mentioned the right side of the pool, the fence being all the way up. I mean, that's correctable. I mean, I think, I can correct. I mean, that's a matter of taking a couple of sections down. But again, now the appearance is exposed at that point, so, that would take some work, but, that's doable. I don't think there's an issue with safety at that point. To the Morgan Court side, that would concern me a little bit, only because of the height of the fence.
Do you have any written confirmation from the building inspector about these change in plans?
No, I don't. Again, and I spoke with the pool installer last week, Glenn from Sensational Pools here in town, and I had asked him what was the sequence of the change. He told me that he did come to see Gary, and Gary told him that the change was okay as long as the pool was 40 feet from Morgan Court.
Yeah, but that's the pool, not the fence.
No, that was
the
correct.
pool. The pool isn't the problem, the fence is
Correct,
the problem,
correct.
and the setback is the problem.
Does the fence have to be 40 feet from the road?
not the fence. The pool?
Pool.
I didn't look at that, but if Gary said so, I assume that's what it requires. I don't know.
Because
see he
it's
walked
considered a
back.
front yard.
Oh, it's clearly
In
a
other
front
words,
yard,
yeah.
Even with the
Because
original,
it's considered the front yard.
proposition, He said it had to be back farther, so I do believe it has to be farther because of the setback, because of Morgan Court, is my
Right.
understanding
But
of it.
my fence is right near the edge of Estrada, Summer Hill.
Is it a pool
It had to
fence?
be, it's not a pool fence.
Well, that's the difference, I think.
What's the difference?
I-
A fence is a fence.
I think he was
But
saying the
it's
pool
what-
has to be 40 feet.
Yeah, but yours is open, and it's part of,
It's in the front yard, so mine has to be open.
I know, but it's only 4 feet high. So
Because it's in the front.
And it's open, so it's.
Well, his Morgan
code.
Court portion of the property is considered the front. It's considered a front yard because he's on the corner.
The fence
His
isn't
fence
40
is,
feet.
is to
I said
spec,
40 feet
so it's
off,
not
it's
the same
27.
thing.
I mean, I'm really hoping that, we're not gonna penalize the guy because he lives on a corner lot.
I'm not penalizing anyone, I'm just trying to get
Kevin, the
information right
fence is
now.
not 40 feet off the lot line, it's 27 feet off.
But the fence doesn't have to be 40 feet.
No, and it's not.
Okay, so the fence really is not an issue. The pool is 40 feet.
Only the height, yeah, only
The-
the height of
the
the
height.
fence is an issue, and
That's
the
a big-
materials, not its location.
Mr. Donnelly, I beg to differ on that. Gary's marks showed that he wanted the fence moved in on the Morgan Court side.
Well, okay, I thought
Do
they
you have
amended the
this?
plans and did that, because the new public
But-
hearing notice doesn't mention anything about the distance from the property line.
Right.
So I assume that change was made.
Well,
Well,
there was
this-
there's a thing to the 27-foot setback,
This is,
which was supposed to be corrected.
this
when
is
we
what is
renoticed
existing,
this.
but it's not been approved. This is what was approved. They're two totally different, they look like two different pieces of property.
I thought what happened at the last meeting was what was shown
Yeah,
on the
that's what
plan
was-
bore no relationship to the zoning board application. And the applicant was to amend the application to show the fence in the location shown, actually built, and request a variance for that fence, that height, that choice of materials.
Which is what he did here.
Right.
But this hasn't
And then Gary's
been-
office prepared a public hearing notice, and the notice mentions
That-
nothing
about the 40 feet.
about
You're
a
correct.
setback issue, only about a height and materials issue. So I assume Gary was satisfied with the location of the fence in terms of its distance from the property.
Yeah, I don't think a fence has to be that far off the road.
I think it's because it's a front, considered a front yard, 40 feet, but
But it's
that's not,
yeah.
you know, that, compared to everything else, that's a minor issue.
Well, my only thing is the part that's on the right side of the house. I think that if, I know it's already done, but like I said.
Well, we don't need to
I'm a-
deliberate now, we just need to
I'm a little,
find
that
information.
whoever he hired, either the Lowe's or, the pool guy, didn't follow Gary's instructions.
Or maybe never went to
That's-
Gary,
that's
I don't
clear,
know.
Yeah.
That's, that's.
We have nothing in writing from Gary.
Kevin, are you
Can we
suggesting
seek
that-
written clarification from Gary on that?
Sure,
We,
sure.
Would,
was just-
would we do so then?
Well, number one, the distance from the property line is not flagged as needing a variance. So even if you were to grant the variance, you're not authorizing anything
Well, we
in
can't do
terms of
anything
fence
but
location.
listen tonight. I mean, we're gonna deliberate the next time in August, but I'm just saying,
Well,
can we
that's gonna be
get
the
some
applicant's-
clarification?
Sure, especially if you're gonna put it off till August. But I think the other issue, you may want to ask the applicant, is he willing to reduce the fence on the pool equipment side to a complying 4-foot height?
yeah, he said he was willing to do that.
50%
Well,
covered.
yeah, well, if he does that, I think you'd want to see an amended application that showed that. If you're suggesting that that might be something that would satisfy you, he may want to do that.
Well, we don't know if we're going to
No, you're not-
deliberate in August. We have two other members. We don't,
All right, well,
know
in the
what
meantime,
they're-
what clarification do you want from Gary? Whether the offset of the fence from the street is an issue?
know whether he approved any of these new plans that are in
He
place.
can't approve any of the plans, because they would need a variance to be approved.
No. Did he give, Mr. Torres said that the person who's installing was given verbal permission to go from 4 foot to 6 foot and so forth. I'd like to have
I
it
did-
in
is
writing
that what
from
you said?
Gary that,
Yeah, no,
No,
I'm
I
not
don't think he
sure.
said
Yeah,
that.
I think he, when he consulted with him, it was the position of the pool, from the original plans being from.
so there was
parallel
never
to
anything
house.
about the change in the height of the fence? or
That I
anything?
don't know, because I wasn't
No,
present
Gary
for
could
the-
not and would not authorize that.
Yeah,
But when did that fence go up?
it's coming upon a year now, I mean, shortly right after the pool.
And I'm just kind of wondering why it's, I mean, as soon as I drove past it, I knew there was something wrong.
Well, often building inspectors don't bring violation proceedings till somebody brings it to their
But he
attention.
doesn't have a CO.
We can ask Gary about the
You
sequence.
can't get
but-
the CO, is that correct?
Right, because the pool and the pool and the fence were together as one, so.
So they
that-
can't,
whether
now,
it's-
but that's like a year later.
Well, I can ask him to explain what has taken so long. What else do you want clarification
I'm just
from Gary?
curious. I mean, I noticed it right away, but me, I'm not gonna,
You're not the fence police?
no. And I understand his problems with side yards because I had the same situation.
Does anyone on the board have any more questions for Mr. Torres?
Well, I got a statement, I guess, but I do have trouble with the 6-foot high fence along Morgan Court. I don't know that under deliberations, we can't come up with something, but I do
Well,
have
we'll
a
have to
little
wait till
problem
August
with
for that,
to be honest
you
with you.
know.
Okay.
Right, no, and I totally understand that. My neighbor's actually here, Mr. Mark Gordon, he actually could attest to the visibility of it and the
Well,
visualization of it.
no, I went down and took a look at it on 3 different times,
Right.
just to get an idea, when, it was a month ago, and I
Right,
went back
yeah.
and so on, but,
I was gonna test the pool and I said, nah, I better not.
Did you have a tough time getting over that 6-foot fence?
Yeah, the 4-foot fence, you'll walk right over it.
Well, not me.
If there are members of the public that want to be heard,
Well,
you
that's
might
what
as well
I was
hear
thinking.
from them.
So no more board members? Thank you, Mr. Torres.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the board who would like to speak to this application? From the board, I'm sorry, from the audience.
Public.
Public.
We know what you meant.
Please state your name. Thank
Maria
you.
Hunter, I live in Woodbury, then Highland Mills. I'm here as a resident, I'm not any other capacity. I can understand that the plans were changed, maybe someone should have said, hey, remark them, that's not my problem, that's not your problem, it's building department. Should have been remarked. Say, this is what the plans were changed, shifted, maybe that's a problem there. And I find it, as I agree with Mr. Abrams, this house was there before Morgan Court was built. Corner lots, as a resident, maybe this board or another board should approach the Village Board of Trustees about corner lots, because corner lots should not be penalized. You have a front yard, a backyard, and 2 side yards. You should not have 2 front yards. Your front yard is where your front door is. And I do know that from as an emergency service personnel, and when we did E911 numbering. If your door was facing the road, that was your, or wherever your front door was, that's your front yard. Maybe going forward, someone needs to reach out to the Board of Trustees, and we maybe need to change that law, because we should not be penalizing someone for 2 front yards. Being that it's the 4-foot fence in the front, there are some decorative, there with the 6-foot fence. I don't know how you're gonna solve that one, but the side yard that has the 6-foot side fence going down Morgan Court, if it's not supposed to be solid, maybe we can come up with some kind of a suggestion. Put holes in it, decorative holes. I'm just suggesting this. But to penalize the resident and to take that fence down, whether it be school year, summer, fall, winter, you're opening up a liability to this resident that any child or adult walking in the middle of the night, during the day, even an animal, can go into that pool. If there is water in it, I'm not sure. You're opening up this resident to a liability to taking that fence down now. And I just find it, the 50% solid in the front yard facing Dunderberg, okay, let's fix that up. But we're talking about a fence here only tonight, and I just feel that our codes are hurting residents.
But it's not our prerogative to change the codes.
Please there is a fence north end of town that's 6 foot high on the front yard. I can call Gary tomorrow and turn that person in, but I won't. It's his responsibility. He should be out there. Him and his other person, they should be seeing what's going on in Woodbury. There are other fences that are 6 foot high in a front yard. We can't be penalizing everybody. Granted, it was an error. The person who put the fence up should be held accountable for it. But this is just, it's insane, this code of 2 front yards. And like I said, it's after the fact, yes. Shame on us. Most people who do put things up come and ask for forgiveness. I want to say 99% of the time, they're given the go-ahead to leave it as is, maybe make some changes. I feel that from sitting in the audience tonight, the vibe from the board, not the whole board, it's just being attacking, and I don't like it. And I sit on a board, and I try not to be a sitting member to go at someone who's putting an application in, and I just find it offensive.
Thank you. I know that a lot
Would you
of.
please state your name?
Oh, sure. Mark Gordon. I live on Morgan Court. I was at the last meeting when Henry was not available, and I was here with the package. So I'm going to just move to incorporate what I said at that last meeting, because the board was all here on that date. So I'm not going to have to, I don't want to go back through everything, but I will say 2 things. Just with respect to the Morgan Court. Again, I indicated at the last meeting, we have spoken to residents on Morgan Court, and there is absolutely no complaints, no problems with respect to the residents. I mean, if you as a board are concerned about the feelings and thoughts of the residents in the area, I'm here. And I'm telling you, from our point of view on that road, he should be applauded with the way that he has fixed up the house, actually, okay? Rather than have to come and defend himself about changes that he made in the interest of safety and privacy. Not only for him, but for the neighbors on either side. Don't forget, those fences help with privacy on the neighbors as well, that border that property. And I agree with some of the board, and I agree with the young woman who made the statement, dealing with the corner lots. That is just not fair.
Young woman?
Young lady. But I agree, and, you know, she said some important things that I think the board heard, and I'm not gonna go through them all, but it's not fair. It's not fair with the requirements on a landowner like that. It's just not,
But aren't you an attorney?
Yes, I am. I'm here, though. I'm not
No,
here
no,
as a
no, no.
lawyer.
But you have to understand,
Mike knows me. I'm not here as a lawyer, though. I'm
we
here,
have,
you
we
know.
have laws,
I get it.
whether I like them or not.
I know. But that's why it's a variance. That's why they're
That's-
looking for a variance.
I understand.
That's the definition of what a variance is. I mean, that's what this is. He's admitting that there was mistakes, okay? He's not trying to pull anything over on you. There were no like you said, he doesn't have a CO. He wasn't issued any violations, but he did this on his own to come forward to say, listen, I'd like to be able to get a CO, because if I want to sell my property later on, I wouldn't be able to without a CO. I don't want to have to deal with Gary coming onto the property and giving me violations if somebody reports it, which they haven't. I don't believe anyone's reported it, but that being that as it said, I mean, that's my position on it. I think there were some neighbors across the street from Henry's house. What's those neighbors that wanted to come to the meeting tonight? Right, they indicated also that they were gonna come to support his position on the fence. So, again, I spoke to the board last, so I don't have to go through it again, but I appreciate you all listening. Obviously, you know, the thoughts, I think, and concerns of the people that live in the area are important. I agree with you, Kevin. Laws are there for a reason. I get it. But also, somewhere along the line, when we interpret these things, we have to take into account people and the way you live. You just have to.
I don't
You know.
disagree with you.
I thank you for the time.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this application?
Eliezer Fried, I live in Spring Valley, New York. I'm just listening in. I'm an associate at Bateman Architects located in Muncie. I believe a pool is a weapon, just like a car. Therefore, a 4-foot fence would not be the right size and height over a pool. I think a pool would needs a 6-foot fence because it's dangerous for kids to climb over. It makes it difficult and harder. As I'm not familiar with the Village of Woodbury zoning codes in regard to the fences, but based in other municipalities, which I'm aware of, a front yard is allowed to have a 48-inch high fence. The only problem is, but within the setbacks, you're fine. But since his pool is facing a front corner, he should be allowed to have his 6-foot fence just for the safety. If it would just be to surround his home, yes, I would say a 48-inch fence is required. But in this case, I do understand that there's zoning laws, but then we have variances to give permission for when safety is needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you buy that from Mrs. Galvin? Was that the Galvin house, Maria?
No. Most days?
That's it. Okay.
Is there anyone else who'd care to speak to this application? Should we close public
You wanna
hearing?
close it and
then
then-
deliberate next month?
Yes.
Deliberate next month.
Do you want to continue the hearing in the event what Gary brings, you don't have to, you can close it if you want, but if Gary brings forth anything else you may want to hear further from the public, it's up to you.
If we're going to deliberate next month, maybe we should just keep it open till next month.
Fair
I'll make a
enough.
motion, we
Carried over.
carried over to the August
8th.
8th meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So this application will be carried over to August 8th.
And by the way, we're charged with what we're charged with as a task. It's not personal.
No, not at all.
You know, it's kind of business, I guess. People should take it as such.
Oh, it Might even get home before dark. Oh, I don't think the next one's gonna be.
Okay, we have another public hearing, Falkowitz, for a use variance to demolish an existing protected non-conforming two-family dwelling and to reconstruct the same. Pursuant to Section 310-7, a two-family dwelling is not permitted in the R2A zoning district. Pursuant to 310-43.2B7, a building housing a protected non-conforming use may not be rebuilt if the non-conforming use is damaged by fire or other causes to the extent of 50% or more of its fair market value as determined by the assessor, unless the use is changed to a conforming use. Said property is located in the R2A zoning district at 12 Skytop Road, a private road, in Highland Mills, and is known on the Village of Woodbury tax maps as Section 217, Block 3, Lot 4. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir, you are the, you're the spokesperson for the applicant, correct? We have an affidavit to that, yes. Would you please
Mike, you even
approach the
understand this
podium?
law?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I've
not-
been trying to figure it out. It's like it's.
Here's the concept. Non-conforming uses are given a limited protection. And certain things like minor damage or renovations, fixing the roof, do not cause the building to lose, the use to lose that protection. However, if something extensive happens, fire, wind damage, the applicant tearing down his own property, then the law says the protection is lost. You must, at that point, restore it, build a new building, and house only a permitted use. You just simply lose the protection. It doesn't matter whether it's, the way I read the section, whether it's a foreign cause, like a fire or lightning or wind damage, or whether the applicant raises his own building. The rationale is the same. Unless it's just minor changes, the protection is lost when 50% of the value of the building is altered. So this is an application for a use variance, not a conversion from one non-conforming use to another that's less intense. And they need to satisfy the use variance criteria. I note in the application that the first factor, which requires dollars and cents proof that no reasonable return can be obtained by any use allowed in the code, is blank. And that's perhaps the most important factor for use variance. So the applicant will need to supplement that either tonight or at a future date.
Mr. Falkowitz has authorized you as his representative, correct, Mr. Freed?
Yes,
Okay, we have an affidavit to that effect.
yes.
So this property is in quite a bit of disrepair.
That's
When
correct.
did the applicant purchase this property? Do you know?
I'm not sure with the exact date.
Do you know
Um,
ballpark-wise? Last
I would
5
say-
years, 10
I would say
years?
within 2.5 years,
What condition was it in when he purchased it?
the same condition.
So he purchased it in the state of
He
disrepair?
purchased it at the state of disrepair. He just didn't think, I guess he didn't do his due diligence right. And rehabbing this building will cost him quite a bit at this time.
Was it occupied when he purchased it? Because it says, he says three-family home, and
It's
this is
currently-
two-family.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say, that on the agenda, there's an error. It states that it's a three-family converting to a two-family, which Mr. Falkowitz has a CFO, which is filed in the village.
He has one for a
A
three-family?
CFO, and, yeah,
Okay.
dated in October 2008 for a three-family.
Was it occupied when he purchased the building?
No, was vacant.
Probably.
Is it occupied now?
No, it's vacant as well. It's,
How long has it been vacant?
since Mr. Falkowitz has purchased it, for sure.
That would be roughly 2.5 years?
I know he bought it within 2.5 years. I'm not sure the exact date.
Where did the three families reside? I saw two entrances. There's a separate building. Is that a shed, the one on the left?
Um,
If you face the property, there's a smaller building on the left. Like, looks more like, it's small like a shed, but
There is an entrance, I believe, as you can see here. Where's it?
Was that Marge Duane's house, do you know?
I'm not familiar.
I
Yeah,
think it was.
But there we have a neighbor who is currently residing at 10. So maybe you want to come up and speak about it.
It's on the plans.
If
What was
that's-
that?
If that's the house I think it is, I was delivering oil to that a couple of years ago.
It's a yellow,
I was there. She had a three-family. I think that's the house.
that's the house. So 3 years ago it was occupied, you think?
I would
Probably about
assume
2
that
years,
Two
yeah.
families are in the front, and then here we have a side one.
Yeah.
Oh, I
remember
see,
this
yeah.
house. I was up there today.
Okay, why do you, so,
No, I knew it was in
So
the
you
back of the
wanna,
house.
you wanna make a two-family.
You want to make it into a two-family.
So you wanna go from three-family to
From three to two.
two-family.
are these the same pictures, just
Yes,
larger
maybe
of the,
larger.
yeah,
It's later at night.
and we're older.
It is in pretty rough shape.
Oh, it's in terrible shape.
I mean, rehabbing this building is kind of a new house. As you can see, the foundation.
Why
and all
not
that.
just a single-family home? You would need a variance for a single-family home.
I don't think we would need one for a single.
Right. My question is, why do you want to put a two-family home instead of a single-family home?
The reason for it is, I guess, because it's currently a three-family, so we should be able to at least,
Does he
up a
plan
two-
to live there or rent it out?
he plans to live in one.
In one side and rent out the
One
other
rent.
side?
No, this is a rental.
So he doesn't plan to live there?
No, this is a two-family. He wants to be in one and want to rent out the second one.
Oh, he's gonna live in half.
He wants to live in
and-
one.
Right, that was my
Yes,
question.
yes.
Okay.
And as you can see, 14 Skytop, I'll show it to you on the Google Maps one, is also currently a three-family house.
So the neighbors,
We are located here, and 14 is also a three. Number 16 is a vacant property, which is kind of in bad shape as well.
Wow.
Kind of in bad shape as well.
is that the one that's across the street? The one that says vacant?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
that, yeah.
It's next door. It's the next house.
No, the three families next door,
Next
yeah.
house. Next house. There's only one side on this street. It's a private road. The other
There's
side
only, yeah,
is
only,
Woodbury Lane.
when coming from Bakertown Road, only the right side is occupied. The left side are all rear yards for Blueberry Lane.
Oh, those are rear yards,
No,
okay.
front yards.
Oh, front, okay.
But rear and front probably, I assume have the same setbacks.
Yeah, it's, the well, obviously, this has got wells and
It's
septic.
got wells and septic, and this is
Are
all
they shared?
compliant. This is, no, they have their own septic and
So
well.
each, so this
As
piece
you
of
can see on the
property has its
survey.
own well and its own septic?
And our surveyor has located the house, so it fits with all zoning requirements with distances for the septic and well. So it's all, the septic and well is existing, it's not being altered in any way. Our proposed building is compliant with all setbacks, front yard, rear, side, and development coverage and building heights.
Are you using the same footprint, use the same foundation? In
We're
other
not
words,
using-
tearing
no,
down?
we're relocating it, so sits better on the property and nicer and visible for the road.
And that's the plan that you
That's the
submitted?
plan we
Okay.
submitted. As you can see it on the survey, which we filed, the existing house is kind of angled in a way, and we're setting it straight nice, so it's kind of gonna enhance the street as well. And I definitely believe once this property goes up into construction, if the board hopefully will approve it, it will raise the value for the surrounding homes and kind of give it a better appearance.
Well, can't get much worse. On your environmental form, on page 2, number 9, does the proposed action meet or exceed the state energy code requirements? You've said yes.
It will, because every new.
But then it says to describe the design features and technologies, so you left that blank. So my question is, how will it?
How will it,
Yes.
we'll have the right insulation, all the insulation values, energy ratings, everything will be compliant as the building inspector would like to see it.
Okay, so it will meet the requirements, not
Yes, it will.
necessarily exceed.
Otherwise, we wouldn't get a permit.
Right, but no, my question is meet or exceed. You're saying meet.
It will definitely meet, and we will try to exceed.
Okay.
Now,
Most homes do exceed.
You're putting in new septic systems? and
No, everything is existing.
That's whatever's there?
Whatever is there and
Has it been tested?
has been tested.
Am I missing it? I'm trying to find a well on the property. I don't see it.
Um,
Should be somewhere in the back, the rear of the house. So this is Skytop Road, so this is the rear.
Oh, there it
This
is.
the well.
It would have bit me if I,
It's too small. It's a little tiny. You should have probably known,
so you're just moving it a little bit closer to the road.
we're just moving a bit closer. So they got some rear backyard. Trying, now it's kind of angled in a way, little rundown shack.
Removing the shed also?
We haven't spoken about it,
Okay.
but I guess if the board will ask for it, then I guess we'll do that.
Questions from the board, besides the ones we asked?
Well, I mean, I know, I've known that area forever, and at one time, it was really nice shape in Sky Top.
Oh, hold on just a second here. Did we ask this gentleman if he wishes us to deliberate
No, I
this
thought-
as a, did you?
I didn't ask him about whether we deliberate tonight or next month, no.
Okay.
But we're
just-
having the public
Just
hearing
remind,
now.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, that's all right.
If I could point something out, I mentioned it
Sure.
briefly before. This is a use variance application. And you
Yes.
did complete the use variance application form. Question number 1 reads, explain how, based upon the current applicable zoning regulations, applicant is incapable of earning a reasonable financial return on his or her initial investment if the property is used for any of the uses allowed by the zoning code. Applicant must demonstrate using financial evidence. You have left that blank. To get a use variance, you need to present what's called dollars and cents financial proof, some kind of economic spreadsheet analysis that demonstrates that for every use that is allowed in that zone, it is impossible for you to achieve a reasonable return on your investment. However, for the two-family use that you propose, you will be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
And without that dollars and cents financial analysis, this board will not be able to grant you the use variance, even if it were otherwise inclined to do so.
The
So
question is.
your application
yeah.
is deficient and cannot be approved unless you supplement it.
So what he's saying is on the use variance form that was completed, you need definitive dollars and cents for the hardship, for the
Okay.
number 1. And in other words, when we look at these 4 questions or 4 areas, they all have to be approved for a use variance. Not necessarily for an area variance, but for a use variance, they must be. And this is blank. And
So
you're
the-
right, that
yeah.
the application is deficient.
Yes, you're right with that, and I respect that. The question is if we need to show the documents or our collage, our visual
No, we need.
speaks for that.
We need,
Now, you'd need something like an accountant who'd say
Okay.
that X number of dollars was the purchase price of the property. To make these proposed renovations, or to make renovations that would allow the property to be used for a permitted use would cost Y number of dollars. And the rent that you could achieve from, say, a single-family home, since that's one of the permitted uses, would not cover that investment cost, nor would any of the other uses that are permitted in that zone. This is going to have to be done based upon either capitalized earnings or some kind of financial and accounting analysis that takes into consideration what is a reasonable return on an investment as a percentage, what could you earn if you invested your money elsewhere, and so forth. That dollars and cents financial analysis is the essential, or one of the essential elements of your application. It wouldn't even be enough to have a broker say, here's what the house is worth. The courts say it has to be a financial analysis, which generally requires some type of expert, an accountant, an economist, someone of the kind who would put together that kind of presentation. And without it, the board cannot approve your use variance application.
Got it. So we will
So-
provide that, I guess, for
right, you
next
would need to
meeting.
come back to do that
But try to get it to us
prior to the
Prior.
meeting.
10 days before the meeting.
Okay.
not- Don't bring it with you, because then we won't be
We
able
can't
to.
accept it.
Now, I
It
have
has to
another
be-
question. Would we need a new affidavit, or that affidavit?
No,
No,
the
this-
affidavit is fine.
Okay. So we'll do that. Okay,
Any
thank
o-
you for making us aware of it.
Any other questions from the board?
No, I'll wait till.
Till next, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Is there anyone in the
I
audience?
appreciate your time.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the public who would like to speak to this application? So make a motion that we carry this over until the August meeting.
Second.
Keep it open? You in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, so we're going to keep this open
I
till,
think you should, yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and Bakertown did not show up? Okay.
I would not be able to pull something like this off.
Oh, we have the builders.
Yes.
You know that? I would not be able to make something like this.
Give you my card.
Okay, we have a building inspector's report. It's mother-daughters, 10 of them that were all, inspected, and they all were in compliance. Has everyone looked at this?
Yes, everything's good.
Okay. Do we need a motion to accept the?
I
building
make that
inspec-
motion to accept the building inspector's report.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, building inspector's report is accepted. We have no closed public hearings this evening. I have a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.